When Wizards of the Coast steps forward with a banning announcement that causes a triggering buyout effect on the market space of Magic singles, there's a lot going on in this market space that players need to know about. Whenever we have a banning announcement from Wizards of the Coast, whenever they bring out the big ban hammer and they're swinging it down to strike down some cards that make playability unfun, you never know how that market is going to react to certain single cards. Welcome back, everyone. MTG Moxman here, and thanks again for hanging out with me on the channel today. Now, before we get the whole thing going, we're going to take a look at the cards that were banned and a card that was unbanned. So we're going to start with that one first. Let's take a look here at the Smuggler's Copter. This was banned, and now it is unbanned. And within the 30 minutes of that unbanning announcement, players went hog wild on TCG Player, buying up copies of this card. And as they bought the card, the price began to rise, and as they bought other copies of the card, the FOMO frenzy of players trying to get this card basically caused the card to be bought out. It was kind of crazy for a while. I haven't checked the market since then, but there was a little bit of a dry spell there where there was none of this card available on TCG Player. Now, for cards that are getting banned, you see here the Geological Appraiser. Okay, great. They banned it, okay, in Pioneer and Explorer. I've never played Explorer. I've tried Pioneer, so I'm kind of okay. Then they went ahead, of course, this is the big one, banned Fury in Modern. That was kind of a big deal, okay? Then we go ahead, we take a look at the next one here. Up the Beanstalk banned in Modern kind of threw me a little bit. I wasn't expecting this one, but really the explanation kind of made sense. I can get behind the idea of it. It's not banned in Standard, so it's not going to affect the price overall very much at this point. And then, of course, we have things like Karn the Great Creator again. It's been banned in Pioneer and Explorer. And then they ended things off here with Pauper, and being banned is the Monastery Swiftspear. So now we have a series of cards that are banned in some formats. Now, the interesting stuff came afterwards. We're going to start with the example of the Smuggler's Copter. That card was banned. It was out of there and it was worthless because you couldn't play it. And now it gets unbanned and the price shoots through the roof. At the time I took those pictures that you saw on the screen, the card was hovering around what, like $5-6? And it hasn't been updated yet on like MTG stocks. But if you go and look for that card and you just go and take a look at TCG Player, all the copies selling are like $8.99 and higher. There are people buying play sets of 4 and they're paying $40-50 for that play set of 4. And it sold so many copies today. Like I said, there was a buyout. This card was not available for a couple of hours today. And yes, more copies have been dumped onto the market and at higher prices, making it a buyer's market or a seller's market. Well, of course, the sellers are making out like bandits right now because that card was worthless before the start of today when they unbanned it. And as soon as it became unbanned, players wanted to start scooping up copies and speculators. And the people who had copies, and yes, some of those people were speculators too. Some were just random LGS people out there who had 15-20 copies on hand. Sold them all. They just got sucked out of the market space. And now you have thousands and thousands of copies that sold in a single day. So somebody, or some people, made a lot of money because the card became unbanned. Now we can take that conversation with the exact same logic. A card was unbanned and is now worth a lot of money because it can be played again. Now you have Fury. Why was Fury being bought in such high quantities today after the announcement of it being banned in Modern? Well, let's take the same logic. The price is falling. It's falling fast because it's been banned. People are dumping copies and trying to get rid of them, so the price is being forced down. But there are people buying. Because just like Smuggler's Copter, there will come a time, 6 months, a year and a half from now, when the game has evolved to the point where the card is no longer considered a threat to the game space. Upcoming sets and pieces around it will modernize and revolutionize the game around it to allow for Fury to be reintroduced into the wild and be another card. But with that release will come a giant surge in buying, just like we saw with the Smuggler's Copter. This conversation today, what's happening right now in the market space, is a brief moment. Day or two, it's going to stop. If it even goes that far. And people will forget this video and they'll forget what's going on. But for players who are in this for the long term, they follow this stuff all the time. And they have been around long enough to understand how MTG finance works and how the turnaround on cards can see a massive potential upswing years from now. Players who are the sky are falling type players, they're the ones who are going to ditch cards right away when they see things falling on the knife and say, I need to get some of my value out of this card before it hits rock bottom. But just like the Smuggler's Copter, which they unbanned and went through the roof, Fury and other cards like it can get unbanned. These cards can see a turnaround later on. And it's unlikely to get reprinted now because it doesn't have a lot of value if it can't be played in Modern. It's not really a commander card in a whole bunch of decks. So it's not going to have a lot of potential, cash value to Wizards of the Coast. So chances are, if you look at it from all those logical points, it's going to stay as a Modern Horizons 2 card. Maybe it'll get a secret layer or something. And it's going to sit there, losing value, kind of flatline around $5 probably. And nobody's going to hear or think about it. But in the backdrop, there will be new upcoming sets. We will have new amazing cards being introduced. Modern Horizons 3 is going to come. And every new card that comes along gives the potential chance of Fury being unbanned. Of other cards that got banned, like Karn the Great Creator being banned in Pioneer, the game can evolve to the point where Karn could be unbanned. It's really interesting. Now, Up the Beanstalk, that was the one that kind of threw me because, of course, it just came out in Wilds of Eldraine. I think they may have given that card a little too much power. I've been trying it in numerous decks, and it does go off very well with a lot of big green monster creatures out there. So I can see why they said, wow, that's a pretty powerful card in Modern. We'll kind of keep it on hiatus for now. We'll let it be played in Standard for the time being. We'll see how things play out. And then further down the road, just like we've talked about, that card could come back around. So if it goes down and rotates out, becomes a $1 card, you think players aren't going to buy 20, 30 copies just for 30, 40 bucks in case it becomes unbanned? Just remember this as well, everyone. When a card becomes unbanned, there's a chance that Wizards already has it on the block to come back as a reprint. That's the tinfoil hat of me saying, just in case. So if something becomes unbanned, you should probably sell into the market now as it's going up. Don't wait 6 months to see what happens because it may be coming as a reprint later on. We've seen these kind of things come around time and time again. I think there was a time that Jace the Mind Sculptor was banned, right? And when he became unbanned, he saw multiple reprints within a couple of years. So keep all that kind of information flowing. Keep it in your head. But a reminder, if you own Fury, I wouldn't sell it unless you have to. I would just make sure they're sleeved up, kept safe, and put it in the box. Don't worry about it for now. You've already paid for them. You've bought them. They're pieces you've already acquired. And it may have a turnaround. And if it does come back around, you don't have to rebuy them into the market space again. You sold at a loss, and then you have to rebuy them as the price is rising again. So you kind of lose twice. It's better just to hold on to some of your cards. I found over the years, holding on is a lot safer when cards get unbanned, or if you just want to play with it and have some fun, at least you own the cards already. I'm not big into selling into the market unless I have so many copies that it really doesn't matter. Always keep a playset of 4 is kind of the way I look at it. But this banning had a lot of, like I said, had a lot of speculation going on. And when you saw how many cards started being bought up, particularly Fury, and of course with the Smuggler's Copter, those sales volumes were just earth-shattering from what most people would have expected to happen on the market. But understanding what happens with the singles market of MTG Finance is not a one-day thing. You got to go back time and time again. You got to review how things are being done, which cards came back, what the market effects were, what the prices shot up to, who sold and why, and who held on to their cards and why. And why certain cards don't get put in display cases all the time. They kind of get shelved off to the side. It's a crazy world of Magic out there, but it's a lot of fun to sit around and see what's happening. Either way, the banning announcement definitely brought a lot of speculation around, about a lot of individual cards being bought up and then dumped later on. it's a crazy world of Magic, and you never know how things are going to play out. And this is just another day in the world. It was a crazy day, but it's another day in the world of Magic the Gathering. Thanks a lot for hanging out with me today. Thanks for chilling here with the Mox Man. Looking forward to reading your comments in the comment section. Did you buy some of those Furies? Did you get some Smugglers Copters? I'd like to know, guys. Put down what you thought about the bannings. If you thought it was a good thing or a bad thing, I'm looking forward to reading those comments. I'll see you guys tomorrow for another video. Have an awesome day. And of course, a big shout out and thank you to the fantastic patrons we have here on the channel, the amazing YouTube membership members, and all the viewers out there who watch the videos each and every day. Looking forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Have a great day. Thanks again, patrons. Okay, not what I expected. Is that the easiest way of saying things? It didn't play out the way I thought it would. Welcome back to the Ramble Jamble. We're here at the end. This is the Shop Smart, Shop S-Mart. Now, a few things. Fury. I know a lot of people. There's people on the channel who bought them, but I have friends also. I guess they're kind of on the channel too. You know what I mean? I have outside parties that told me they bought a lot of Furies too as they were falling. Like 10, 20 copies. Just in case later on. Isn't that kind of crazy? The idea that they are hoping to capitalize at some future date. And yes, I had a person who had 15 of the Smugglers Copters, okay? And he sold them all into the upswing market on a TCG. Like, he's a seller on TCG Player. So I found that fascinating. He said he made a lot of money. Like, the return on that was crazy high. But he says, you know, it doesn't happen all the time. But yes, with bannings, these things can come around. You never know what card's going to be banned or unbanned, he said. But if you know a card was played a lot before, those tend to be the cards you should hold on to just in case. And Wizards doesn't ban everything, don't forget. They're just trying to break up certain decks that control a certain sphere of influence inside the game. It's an interesting time. I thought it was fascinating because I really didn't think Fury was going to get banned. I saw it as a reprint equity card that Wizards wouldn't want to give up. But maybe they're willing to give it up short term. Tinfoil hats on right now. Maybe they're willing to give it up for a year or two. Let the card really drop down. Let the rest of the game kind of catch up and then unban it. Soars to the roof and then they reprint it later. There's my tinfoil hat for you. Either way, thanks a lot, guys, for hanging out. Thanks for being here at the end. I got stuff to do. I'll talk to you guys soon. See ya.